his work treating COVID-19 patients at a hospital here in Johannesburg. So he successfully uses a procedure known as a flexible fiberoptic bronchoscopy on a critical ill COVID-19 patients. Dr. Taban joins us now live. A very good evening to you, Doc. It's a great pleasure to speak to you tonight. I want to talk about your journey to this point, but first of all, congratulations. This is certainly a great achievement and great recognition for your work, isn't it?
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me on your show, and also thank you to the viewers out there. Yes, it's a great moment, not only for me, but also for refugees out there, that through inclusiveness, the refugee can rise and become and fulfill their potential.
And this recognition was related to this procedure. What is this procedure, a flexible fiber optic bronchoscopy, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, that you choose to treat critically ill COVID-19 patients, in layman's terms?
I think it's just an instrument that contains light and a small pipe that is called bronchoscopy, that actually we use that small instrument that will pass either through the nose or through the endotracheal tube to the lungs to see whether somebody got a growth or bleeding or mucus plug, or to diagnose infection. So it's not, in fact, it's not a new procedure. It's a procedure that's been existing quite for a number of years, almost 40 to 50 years.
Yeah.
And we've been using it in South Africa. However, when COVID-19 came, there was a fear that actually using the procedure increased risk of infection. And at that time, people didn't know that actually patients with COVID-19 actually developed mucus plugs. Up to today, most people are still think that is not the case. However, probably the first person in South Africa to do the bronchoscopy, and of course, to find out actually, in fact, patients with COVID-19 do develop mucus plugs. So now there's quite a lot of world literature actually supporting my finding.
Wow, truly phenomenal. But, you know, I want to talk a bit about your journey to this moment, Doc. The journey to your success has not been an easy one. You fled your country after being arrested and tortured by military intelligence. As a child, how old were you?
I think that the war in South Sudan started when I was about 8 years old, and I grew through the war up to the age of 14, 15. That's when, I think, age of 13, that's when I went to my first prison during uprising. And then I was in prison for the first time. Then, of course, in 2014, I got arrested for being a spy. Again, then I was locked up in prison. Then I converted to Islam, of course, then I left. But the most important that, I mean, during the first, from age of 10 to 12, that was when probably I witnessed one of the worst atrocities in the world as a child, seeing people killing each other, shooting people on the street, neighbor turning against neighbors, tribe turning against tribes, so to Christians against Muslims, and you know, the list is endless. And that was what we witnessed as a child. And I think I always say that was my first introduction to medical school, where I actually seen live dead people. Unfortunately, at that time I couldn't save them, but now at least I can do something about it.
But you didn't just leave. Your journey to South Africa is absolutely phenomenal from what I know. It was by bus and also by road, and you had many people assist you along the way. Tell us a bit about that journey to reach South Africa.
I think that when I left South Sudan, the idea was never to leave South Sudan. I was taken to the north under one of the generals to actually become a Muslim. And during my training to become an Islam, that's when I decided to run away, and I found myself in Eritrea. And of course, one of the things that kept ringing my mind was pursuit of an education. And I couldn't get inclusiveness in Eritrea because I was supposed to go to refugee camp, and I refused that. And of course, I made a trip to Kenya. And after again arriving to Kenya, I was supposed to go again to refugee camp. And I just thought, no, I need an inclusive society. And of course, my uncle rejected me. And through the can of Coca-Cola, then I decided I was going to move to South Africa. And of course, coming to South Africa, it was easy on the paper, but on reality, it's a long, long distance, 3,000 kilometers. So it took me kind of 3 to 4 months where I spent time on the road as a street child. I faced so many dangers, torture, abuse, robberies throughout my journey until I arrived in South Africa, of course, in 1995, with absolutely nothing except just a Bible, and with no clothes, even bag of my clothes to change on. And that's when I arrived in South Africa, that, of course, in 1995. And it was not an easy journey. Of course, I was a street child, but the problem that I was in journey, I just was having a spirit of perseverance, and I never really want to give up. And that was my journey, and it was not an easy journey, of course.
You took the bus, you walked, you swam, all of that.
Yes, I did that. Well, if you have no choice, what else can you do? There's no point sitting down and hoping for the best. In my life, I never hope for the best. I try to get the best. And that means if I have to go to Joburg today, I'm going to start walking if I have no transport. I'm not going to wait here and hoping somebody will have mercy on me. I will take, because the person that who might help me might be another 10 kilometers away. So I'd rather start working. Whoever want to help me will find me on the way. And that's always been my attitude about life. Never to wait for people, for a system to decide what they should do with me. Rather, I would have to make my own decisions if I think that the system does not benefit me.
And how long did it take you? I mean, that journey, not knowing what would be waiting for you on the other side. How long did that take you?
3 to 4 months. Look, I wasn't worried about what was happening on the other side. I needed to first to put my feet after the next and after the next. I wasn't worried about tomorrow. I just keep on going. And I knew that one day I'll find myself somewhere. And I didn't have any idea. Even knew that I was going to be in South Africa and become a doctor. Probably a different story. But I didn't know that. I just was trying to survive. And that's what that brought me to South Africa.
You escaped. Many others have not. They did not. How does it make you feel that the violence still continues? It continues to rage on. And perhaps many would definitely look at you, Dr. Taban, as a true inspiration who defied the odds, not knowing what would happen. And here you are today, being celebrated as a doctor. And you're living here in South Africa now. You're being recognized, in other parts of the world as well. You're in the forefront of battling this COVID-19 pandemic, and the methods which you are using are being hailed by many. I mean, what do you say about the violence that still continues? You escaped and others didn't.
Let me be honest with you. When my mother met my father, they met at refugee camp. That was in 1970s. And immediately there was a peace, then they went. And then, of course, my siblings were born. And then the Second War started. And my sibling ended up in refugee camps. And when they went back to South Sudan, another war raged again. They are also refugees now. So the problem with South Sudan, we are the problems in South Sudan. We fail to have a vision about our country. That's where our major issue is. Today, as I speak today, yes, I'm free, but my people, South Sudanese, are not free. We have what we call ongoing senseless war, which is raised between Salva Kiir and his vice president. The same president who has committed a lot of atrocity in South Sudan, today is well welcome in South Africa, is well welcome to the rest of the world, despite all the evil deeds that they did to the people of South Sudan. And for me, that is very sad. And that's always been a story of Africa, where atrocities been committed, and those who committed atrocities were hailed as heroes. In Africa, if you're a violent person, if you're aggressive, if you're a killer, you get a red carpet, not a honorable person. People like Mandela don't exist in Africa. It's only he was the only one who exists in South Africa. But the rest of Africa, we never value people like Mandela. So yes, my heart is painful because as I'm being celebrated across the world, there are a lot of children in South Sudan who are very intelligent. They have been deprived of education. They've been deprived of health care. They've been deprived of basic nutritional food. They've been deprived of other freedoms, and they've been forced to kill. And that's the sad reality about South Sudan, and the leaders of South Sudan, unfortunately, has no consciousness toward his own citizens, let alone have responsibility, unfortunately.
Dr. Taban, we really do appreciate your time on the program this evening. Congratulations on all your achievements, and certainly well-deserved in those achievements being blast, I guess, throughout other parts of the world as well, operating here in Johannesburg as well. Your journey certainly has been one of inspiration, but absolutely difficult. Congratulations on all that you have achieved following that tough journey. Dr. Emmanuel Taban, thanks for your time.